Hey guys, I hope everybody is doing well. Mike, you there, buddy?
I am Pedro. Good morning, man. How you doing?
Good morning, man. It has been a while. I'm glad to have you. I know we've had some shows in the past, and I know I've been talking about this now for a couple of weeks now about how we're going to be bringing back the old crew and kind of get it going. And right now we have Mike, which is um, Crypto Bull. Many of you guys know him as there, but his name is Mike here. So we all know who you are. You're a pretty awesome guy. So it is good to see you.
I appreciate that, Pedro. Yeah, really excited to be back on and look forward to seeing what we can do here, man. So, what are you looking at in the markets this morning?
Well, right now there's a few things. I mean, right now we have S&P 500, which, like I've said to everybody, that we've had some pretty good correlation within the market with crypto and the S&P 500. It's like I said, we definitely do have institutions involved and playing with us. They are definitely in and checking things out. So it's really interesting. Actually, let me jump in real quick because I wanted to go over the crypto prices and economic reports that are coming out here real quick. And so because of so much stuff that's actually going on, this is important. We are coming into earnings season, and earnings season is an important thing primarily because well, the whole entire market moves off of the September reports here. So that's why it's really important to actually know what's going on. So we are entering into September. So it's important to see as we're moving in, what's ahead with us. So just to recap real quick, we have Tuesday. We have some major reports coming in. Job openings are coming out, as well as consumer confidence index. These are important to pay attention to because these move the S&P 500, which moves Bitcoin and Ethereum. So when these reports come out, you want to be paying attention. They're at 10 o'clock. Also on Wednesday, we have the ADP report or the employment report. Again, that's important to pay attention to. We also have the Fed's presidents speaking, so it's another thing you need to be paying attention to as well at 8 o'clock and 8:15. On Thursday, we have the initial job claims report, and that's going to be at 8:30 on Thursday, as well as the continuing job claims, which is at 8:30 as well. We also have, and where was it? The manufacturer, the PMI report at 9:45 a.m. These are also important things, just simply because the market moves, and so when the market moves, the S&P 500 moves, so do we. So that's around 10 o'clock. And down the road, we'll go more in depth of what these actually mean and why they're important. Friday, we have non-farm payroll and also the unemployment report, which comes out at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Um, Make sure that you are mindful of these because these will move the markets, these will move things, and so it's important to understand that. So that's it in a nutshell as an overall for Monday, checking in into the future. And let's go over real quick. Let's talk about the Bitcoin and top 10. Sooner or later, we'll have a little jingle that introduces that.
It is going to be a busy week with all the economic reports. Definitely the NFP
Yes.
report on Friday. Always a good market mover. So we'll see how all that plays out. But yeah, what are we looking at on the prices right now? I know I got the TV on here. I'm watching the stock prices here, but where's
Yeah.
crypto at right now?
Yeah, we got Bitcoin sitting at that 20,000 mark. Like I said to you guys last week, we're definitely seeing some ping pong action in between the moving averages and some of the supply and demand zones. So this weekend, we did see it fall below to that 19,000 mark. We have Ethereum sitting at that 1,500 mark. Again, we've been going over, but they are up 1% for the day, 2.6% for Ethereum. Let's check out BNB, which is sitting at 283, up for the day 1.6%. We have XRP at 32 cents. It is down 2.25 or 2.25% down for the day. As we're looking at ADA Cardano, we are down 1% for the day. Solana down 7%. Dogecoin, everybody's favorite meme coin, I guess it's now Shiba. I mean, it's almost like a little battle there, right, Mike?
I'd say more than a battle. You can throw a few more names in there too at this point,
Yeah,
but yeah, everybody, it's good to have them all, I guess.
yeah. It's in at 6 cents. Like I said to you guys, I'm looking to that 3 cent mark here, but it is down 4 cents or 4% down. We have Polkadot sitting at 7.19, which is up 44%, and then Poly sitting or Matic sitting at 80 cents. Like I said, guys, once it hit that dollar and we hit that 200 period moving average, I said, listen, be ready for this fall. I think, like I've told you guys, we're going to see this thing come back down to that 34 cent, if not further. We'll find out. But like I said, we are definitely seeing that sell off from the dollar mark now. So it's a little cool thing. It is up 2.82%. Shiba sitting at 0.000012, up or down. I hope I'm saying that right too. Boom. I hit the 20.
Now I'm wondering, did you short Matic at that level or what?
Yes, I did. So if our guys were paying attention, they would have known that we shorted that and then ran it down. I told them to take off because they had a very small risk, which was right above the 200 period moving average. And like I said, it was maybe a 3 cent risk to gain at least 20 cents. So it was a nice little run. So that's, I always tell everybody, make sure that you scale 1% of whatever you're playing with. 1% should be what you should be playing with. And as you build, compound interest takes care of itself. As long as you're making sure your risk and reward are on point, and as well as your win to loss ratios on point. So yeah. Yeah, we
great.
definitely did.
Hey, good for you.
Definitely. How you doing, Mike? How's going on with you? What's going on?
Oh man, nothing much. Just been working, Pedro, and taking care of family. So I got the kids back in school now, and look forward to really putting in a lot more effort on some of these ventures. Definitely trying to maybe get the podcast going with you again. I know we talked about possibly trying to get distribution out on iTunes and Spotify and all the major platforms. So look forward to doing that and seeing how we can continue to build our ecosystem and spread some knowledge to everybody.
Absolutely. Let's real quick go into the disclaimer as well. This is no investment advice. The information provided in this video and website live streams does not constitute as investment advice, financial advice, trading advice, or any other sort of advice, and should not treat any of the video and website content as such. I, Moonrock, and guest as well. Now I need to put Mike there. Do not recommend any cryptocurrencies or any other assets that are mentioned should be bought, sold, or held by the viewer or listener. Do conduct your own due diligence and consult a financial advisor before making any investment decision. I am not a financial advisor, nor is Mike, and this content is only meant for entertainment purposes. Please consult a tax professional on any gains or losses as a result of investing into crypto or any assets invested in. This is not financial advice, but is for entertainment and social educational purposes only. Booyah.
Very well done. That is a great disclaimer right there. If anybody's unclear about that, definitely shoot us a DM or a comment, and we'll help you out with that.
Yes. Also, I want to encourage everybody, if you also have any questions about what we're doing and things that you want us to look at, this is a show where we do look at charts and stuff like that. So, but right now we're going into the news. So let's talk about news, man. What have you been seeing out there, Mike?
Well, I'll tell you what, just scrolling through Watcher Guru this morning, I do see that on a social level of integrating crypto and NFTs and everything into the mainstream, that Eminem and Snoop Dogg did their performance at the VMAs and brought I'm guessing it was their own Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs into it. So yeah, I was watching the video a little bit. It was not too bad. So I think things like that just further integrate the much needed social acceptance component to it. Then if you look at it on a fundamental level, just in the news today as well, I see that the UAE based firm, if I'm pronouncing it right or not, Virtue Zone is partnered with Binance to accept crypto payments through Binance Pay. So the Dubai, UAE, the Middle Eastern nations, obviously a lot of nations around the world are really pushing hard into this. So you see that, actual adoption on a level where people can utilize crypto in their daily lives, and then the social acceptance, through large platforms like the VMAs. I think it's all very bullish overall, regardless of what the markets are doing or not. It's that adoption and the ability to use these assets is really what's going to, propel that next leg of growth over the next decade. So I
You're,
think those are a couple big things.
I also think, I mean, just the fact that we know that North Korea, not North, excuse me, South Korea is doing some major stuff in regards to going after rug pulls and really putting some great laws in place for for their country in regards to crypto. And so I think that's important because as we start to see more adoption within the uh, just within other countries, right? We're going to see regulations that come. It has to happen, unfortunately. But the beautiful behind it is, as it is start to get regulated, as they do see certain things, we're going to also see more adoption of grandma and grandpa getting involved and buying. So, what is this cryptocurrency you're talking about? What is this? Going to their grandson and he goes, "Oh, grandma, let me show you about this," right? Just because we are seeing the SEC get involved and a couple other things. I mean, what are your thoughts on that, Mike?
Yeah, no, there's no doubt that regulation is undoubtedly going to come into any industry as it gets larger. So, for even leaving alone the debate of if it should happen or if it shouldn't happen, the fact is regulation is going to happen. It's not just because it's crypto, it's because there's so much money moving around. And if you add into the fact that the number of scams that are out there now are very prevalent, I mean, at the end of the day, governments do want to not only bring in, the financial resources into their countries, but they do have some due diligence obligations to ensure that citizens are protected from bad actors in different, spaces out there. So, I think overall, well, that's generally positive. And I think, as you said, adoption into the grandparent level, you never know. I mean, it really could happen.
Yeah.
So it really, really could. It will be interesting to see, over the next few years, different ways where, every generation can actually utilize crypto in some way in their daily life. And I really think that's where it's going to be most adopted at that point, is if there's actual uses that people can use it for in their own daily lives.
Yeah, I think I was reading, I don't know if I go through so many articles, man, that I read through. But I think it was 14% of America has used us. And I think that's like 40 million Americans. And that and it was funny. And 40% out of that 40 million um have this like neutral to maybe negative effect on crypto. But what was so interesting though is that they then asked in the same um, venue when they were asking these questions, on calls and stuff like that. They go through, and it was really interesting. They asked, "Would you still mess with crypto?" And over, it was almost like 80% of them, 80 to 90% said absolutely yes. I'm still buying crypto. I may be down in my portfolio. I may even have like a precarious feeling towards it, but they're still involved because the fact is that it's prevailing in the who wants to miss out on another bull run, right? So it's like
Yeah, no, exactly. And I would say you said about half or so was the
yeah,
number. Is that what you said?
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
that's better than how everyone views the politicians. So I mean, really, that's a pretty good
it's like
figure,
40%. Yeah, it was
I
like
mean,
it was 40,
what are we
50. Yeah,
shooting for? It has to be 90% happy. I mean, nobody.
yeah, no, yeah, never.
Every issue in this world, somebody's pissed, somebody's happy about. That's just the way it
Yeah,
goes.
yeah,
I'd recommend to just be happy about it all, even when it's not good. It is what it is. So,
it is what it is.
but yeah, yeah. I'll tell you another thing I saw the other day online here was that Cardano was like the
Yes.
26th most they use some word, but essentially like most recognizable brand.
In the
What do you think
world.
about that? That's crazy. You
Yeah.
got all these companies who spend billions of dollars for decades and decades and decades. And here is Charles Hawkinson and Cardano just beating them out. It's wild. Just looking here, like companies less that are lower than Cardano is Nestle, BMW, IBM,
Yeah.
PlayStation, eBay, Kraft, Google. I don't even
Yeah,
understand how they're better. It's wild.
dude.
It
But
really is. So
when you think about PlayStation, right? Like only the wealthy countries really can buy a PlayStation. I mean, and that's very, Americans, Americans, Europe, but now a lot of Europe, can't go out and buy a PlayStation. People don't realize that, like the online gaming on your phone, right? This is, the reason why Axie Infinity jumped so hard was because you can make money and play a game, and people are making more money in crypto than their daily jobs in a lot of these third world countries. So it's like, of course, they're going to become familiar with crypto over, let's say, PlayStation or Nestle, right? Like, we as Americans, we're so far removed from, just that ideology of that.
yeah, and that's one of the other thing that really makes crypto great that people may not know about if they're outside of the play to earn space or the degen crypto space is that so many people all around the world are literally making money for their families and their villages and
Yes.
and just literally playing these play to earn games. It's incredible, let alone sitting on call channels and winning small giveaways to that can be somewhat life changing, at least over the course of a few days or a week for someone's income. So yeah, I think your point's taken there. And also, if people don't know out there, other countries, specifically China, they fully restrict the amount of time that kids can play games.
Yep.
And I'm not even sure. I'll have to double check this, but I don't even think they have the Nintendos and stuff over there. And then additionally, they restrict the video game usage on the computers or phones to I think it's like an hour a day or 3 hours a day or three
Yeah.
hours a week. It's something
You
pretty
have to be
intense. You can
outside.
Google it. So
You have to be outside playing. You have to be out either studying or playing. Like you can't just sit there just like veg. Which, I mean, I'm all for freedom, but I think I don't know if I want to say that's good or bad. I don't know, because I hate it when somebody got to tell me when I can do something or when I can't do something. I'm an American. I'm like, listen, I have my own rights, right? But there's something, that I don't know. What are your feelings about that? I mean,
yeah, it's a
know,
fine line. I mean, the
yeah,
reality is it's important for societies to have values, I guess is the way I would put it. So, if the values of society are lost and the youth are being taught things that are not productive or good for their lives, then at some point, it is important for somebody to step in and do something about it. You could argue for the first couple hundred years of American history, smaller towns, cities, villages, churches, really kept the guardrails on how children were raised. But now that's all out the window. I mean,
yeah,
there's huge cities, the internet's this vast place where people are doing anything they want. So, you really have to sit down and give a real critical analysis, of how full freedom for people that don't understand decisions. Younger people don't really know how those decisions are going to affect them down the road. How that model is, compared to a model where they say, hey, these things are bad, we're going to restrict them. Much like drug laws. They have drug laws because they say these things are bad, we're going to restrict them so people can't do them. So, I don't know. I would say there's a debate out there, Pedro, for how things are, especially since the internet itself is so unregulated that arguably I know from raising children that there is definitely a lot of content out there that my kids should never see, but
yeah,
yet it's readily available. And so somebody has to restrict it. And as a parent, that becomes the role of the parent. And other countries, if, they have different types of governments, you know, will opt to have government restrictions put on them. So, but I don't know. That's a long debate that people could have, and there's probably good sides to both of it.
It's interesting. I mean, we're talking about the government, so we're definitely seeing like the U.S. government definitely. We have this polarizing. People who are coming up, right? Our generation X, generation Y, right? The majority of that 41 million are them. They're the ones that are looking in America that are, you know, and to say, but the majority of the people in Washington, they're 60 and above, right? Like they're older. They're not, in their 50s and 40s and 30s. So it's interesting to see if they clamp down on this avenue of crypto. Like for example, Grayscale, right? Grayscale's legal stance on Stellar, right? That they want to, the SEC sitting there saying, that XLM, ZEC, and Zen, right, may be securities, and so they're going to come in and start clamping down and throwing fines out like they were doing with XRP, and there is this push that we're like they're looking at this. You're going to piss off a generation that's not going to put you in office, and it's a large portion. It's 14%. So it's like, do they really want to alienate themselves from voters? It's like there needs to be this balance of America and our politicians, like Warren, right? Senator, is it Senator or Senator Warren?
Yes, Miss Senator
Yeah,
Warren, who
Senator.
used to identify on her applications for jobs as a full Native American. Yes. So if you don't know politics, you might not catch that joke, but she did change that up when somebody called her out on it. So,
Yeah.
but all right, not to get political, but true story. Google it yourself. So.
I'm not gonna go there, but
I don't mean to get political, but like the reality is, I'm really down the middle. Just to be clear, all political parties, people play games, but the thing is, some of the worst liars are the ones that they just keep online and get caught in it, and then just keep yelling at other people and acting like, they're not bad themselves. So, but that's a very funny story if you really look at her background and what she did. God bless her. I mean, she did it for decades. Like, we're not talking decades. Like a couple small issues here until someone's like, can you actually prove you're Native American?
Like, do you have the papers? Who are your parents or grandparents?
There were no papers. She said that she remembers her old grandma talking about it. That's the true story. But yeah, go ahead. I digress. Go ahead.
No, so the reason why I say is she's really pushing for crypto reform, for laws to come in and really, in particular, really, stable coins. That's really where she's saying, hey, the U.S. government, you guys need to pay attention because the stable coins are a real thing that can really mess up a lot of things. So is that good? Is that bad? I think that's good simply because it's simply just putting things in order that could really hurt potentially crypto, right? And so it's actually made a lot of stable coins really kind of go back and look at their stuff and really start to gauge, all right, how do we secure this, right? Like, we potentially could have a faulty bridge here that everybody's going back and forth. How do we make sure that this stands, the test of time? So there are certain things that I feel like are really important, right? Like, one is making crypto secure, fully secure, so that grandma and grandpa can get in and be careful, right? That they don't have to worry if they buy, let's say, Crow, that the Crow network gets hacked, and all of a sudden, if they put in a couple $1,000s in hopes to make, 10 or 15,000 in in 3 to 4 years, well, that doesn't happen, right? That grandma doesn't get taken out. But and I think as we keep moving and we keep pushing forward, I think that's what we're going to see.
I think as people continue to innovate, we can end up at that point right there. But it's tough right now. Like what you just said, I would ask you, I mean, how does that happen, Pedro? Could you articulate an answer to me of how somebody could invest and have that full security?
Being honestly, Moonrock is creating and has created a mechanism where, and and full disclosure, listen, I work with Moonrock as a dev. I am one of the devs in it that, and I see the background of what we're doing, and we're basically creating a way where, a custodial wallet would be sitting in an individual's bank account, not bank account, but in their own wallet, and be able to have secure coins, and not have to worry about, let's say, a major liquidity pool getting hacked, right? Like, as we come out with the new time capsule, what's actually going on with that's going to be huge, right? And as we become the plumbing of of the industry and basically bringing true security to the crypto market. That's one of the things that we're trying to do, right? And making sure that we're able to truly bring DeFi to the next the next platform that it needs to go to, so it can keep growing and bringing security and making grandma secure with her amount of money being safe. Obviously, teaching her, proper key management and proper wallet management, not giving her, her keys out to random people who ask. There's also going to be some type of education. Grandma knows never give away her her social security, or never give away her bank account logging, routing information, right? That's she.
I'm not sure if that always holds true, man. I'm wondering,
True.
are you specifically trying to get your grandmother to invest? Are you making money off this, or what? There's a lot of talk about this grandma here, Facebook. So I'm not sure.
Who's this fictional grandma you're talking about?
Are you getting 10%?
Who's grandma?
You know what? I actually, if anybody out there doesn't know, I started running AMAs as an additional role I'm taking on in crypto for a call channel. And we had a project on the other day, and this gentleman said that he actually was on a project one time, and he had a whole bunch of newbies. When they said send your wallet, actually sent their seed phrases in, a large number of them. And it goes to show that what you just say, Pedro, people don't necessarily know that. So, I think that, and you know what, if you look at it from a market opportunity, really bridging that gap of all that information, all that safety and security protocols, and coming up with a very turnkey solution for it really is what the industry needs. And the companies that can deliver that will be ones that will benefit greatly from it, and they're, the holders of those projects. So I think, even if, some people might say, well, just put it on an exchange, but to your point of looking for that full security, we've seen exchanges obviously fail, lock money up, freeze money out. So, I don't know if that is the end all of finding that full solution. So, DeFi, I think, gets closer because you can hold those assets yourself, as long as you truly understand how to hold them, keep them safe, and not do the things that you just said right there. So, it'll be interesting to see. Yeah. And, for full disclosure, I work with the Moonrock team as well. And we have some great technology that we're coming out with that can go a long ways towards bringing security to the marketplace, not only from what Pedro said, but, very verifiable ways of ensuring that tokens aren't dumped on projects by devs and all different things. But we can save that for another day when that's fully all released out for everybody, but it's not that far away. So
Definitely.
but yeah, no, security is key, Pedro. And I think, not to, go into the project, but there's a pretty big BSC project launching today, actually in 31 minutes. So,
yes, sir.
I think part of their appeal is the security part of their project. So, or it doesn't matter to mention, it's a Skylabs project. If you guys are familiar with Vetter, part of their appeal is trying to bring, better accountability and security to the industry. And I honestly think you can point directly to their valuation and what they're going to do to the number one point that I just said, and I brought up to the Moonrock team many times, is that whoever can sell security and deliver it in this industry will be one of the winners. I mean, it's very simple. There's a few things people need in crypto. They need information. So there's money to be made from information. That's why you have call channels, YouTube influencers, Twitter, accounts and all that making tons of money, because people need that information, that knowledge. And then there's security. People need security. And, I think Skylabs is brought people that through their Vetter platform already, through the DApp they have over there. And, they're taking that next evolution of trying to bring more security to the actual launches of projects. So I wish them well with it. The tests will be, in my mind, how well they can keep bad projects off of their, their public, the VSale platform that they're launching. The Skylab one is going to be very secure because they're going to fully vet all those, but the VSale will be a little more open. So I think if they can do that, they'll be able to get a lot of market share from the other launch pads if people really come to trust them. So definitely good luck to them in doing that. And but to your overall point, it is that security so that you can get your grandma's money, Pedro, and I understand that.
Oh man, I have a keyboard right here. I was sort of like, dun, dun, dun. It's interesting. There's one thing I do want to spot point out as well. I was flipping through the news here today, and it was really interesting to sit there and see. Let me see if I can pull it up. So it was actually the Pew Research, that 14% to 41 million people who used crypto in America, and it's in there. It was actually just so everybody knows, that was the Pew Research company that really did that analysis. I actually want to talk about also some major coins out there that are having major drops, right? Like AVAX. AVAX just dropped like 11% over this last few days, or actually quite a bit more. But I say that because like AVAX is they're a solid blockchain, right? Like they've done some really nice stuff. So I say that because I feel like the institutions are trying to get the market down. Like a lot of these news sources are just so negative. Like it's almost too much. It's almost like not like there's a strong bias in the news. Like it's like when it rains, it pours. And there's this part of it that's almost, it feels like the institutions. And this is one thing I find even more interesting is that because you get in trouble. Warren Buffett stopped being the negative Nancy that he was on crypto. Just
Pedro,
yeah,
don't
go ahead.
speak of Warren that way, man. But go ahead.
Yes, sir. Mr. Warren Buffett has just been just with a different view on crypto, but he also is investing into major companies that are taking on a lot of Bitcoin and a lot of exposure to crypto, and he's one of the primary holders of these stocks. Now that the SEC is involved, we definitely see some guys definitely pull away, but a lot of the news sources actually picking up their negative push towards crypto, which I really find interesting. Like you're seeing an onslaught of, there's nothing positive coming out, right? Like, and there's a lot of positive, there's a lot of money because we know certain people who are in the inside of major projects. And there's a lot of money coming into a major project. We're seeing major institutions get involved. And I need to bring up that thing with Jim Cramer. One day I'm going to do it here where we're going to show Jim Cramer talking about, basically scamming the market and scamming people. Not, that's the wrong word. Just manipulating the market and,
Yeah.
pushing up and then pushing it down. And then, basically, saying one thing and doing another. And so I feel like that's what is happening. And so I just want to put that out there, just be
Yeah, and
mindful of that.
there's definitely no telling. I don't think you could rule that out because obviously, if any of the big players want to get in, they want in at the best price. So, yeah, there's something to be said for that. And if anyone doesn't know what Pedro's talking about with the Jim Cramer clip, definitely Google. What is it again? I remember you know what to Google exactly.
Yeah, I'll do right here. I'll just do Google here real quick.
But yeah, no, that's that's the way that it's played. And I'll tell you, with AVAX and these other chains, when they do come out, they do get a lot of hype around them. I personally feel that just like the overall token market for any pick if it's BSC or anything else gets a little diluted as more projects get in. There are a lot more exchanges out there now, or blockchains out there that are launching projects. So I can see the evolution being that some of those would get diluted as well. I think the ones that got out here first will maintain really good market shares, but if we have 100 different blockchains launching every day, week, month that are competing for projects to launch on and all that, I don't see how it doesn't get diluted and that money gets spread out. It's going to come out of some of the majors into the smaller ones and just kind of get spread out.
Yeah, this is Jim Cramer. I'm gonna put this in the section here so you guys can actually see it. But he basically just talks about how, and I think this is it. Hopefully this is the correct one, but even a lot of these other ones do bring up, but it basically just goes in and just talks about, you know, how they call up their friends who run the news and the mainstream news, and they basically get them to report negative so the market sells off. So they're able to buy at a lower price, push the market up, and then bring in another news source that basically brings in, um, another maybe a good source, right, that pushes the market up even further. So the institutions can then go through and sell off to the to the people who are unsuspected, thinking that the market's going to go up, and then it does this. It's like boom, 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 and then it drops. And
They
it's
wouldn't
just
really do that, would they, Pedro?
well, go through and you can hear Jim Cramer's own stuff here.
That's what I was going to say. If you are skeptical of that, go watch that clip because, or if you're going to play it, I mean, he says it with his, his own lips right there. He says it. So it is a moment of clarity that I'm sure they're trying to scrub from the internet every day.
People probably keep putting it up because it was such an eye opener, especially during 2008. It was such a it came. I remember it came out, and everybody was like, "Oh my, what?" And so Jim Cramer actually came out and said, um, like, my bad, that wasn't right. But I don't think I don't think they stop it. And I mean, there's a new generation of traders and investors that definitely pay attention to the news. And I'm not saying for you not to pay attention to the news. I mean, we go over news here and stuff like that all the time. But be open to knowing like what is actually going on, right? That's super important. So making sure that you see that and understand what's actually going on in the traditional markets and crypto, right? Because like I said, we definitely are seeing stuff. Now, quick question for you, Bull. Do we have an educational part today, or is that maybe another day?
Yeah, I didn't necessarily prepare an educational part right now.
Well, not education, but spotlight of a of a crypto millionaire.
Yeah, I think the spotlight I would do for today is it'd be about Pedro and how he apparently has hustled his grandparents into investing and made a lot of money off of them. That's pretty much what I got. So we're looking to track his wallet still to find out how much. But we'll see how that goes. So
full disclosure, I have not done this. Says the guy who's defending himself.
I don't have one prepared, and I apologize about that.
You're good.
But we can actually give a little shout out as I was looking on Watcher Guru earlier that it is the 8-year anniversary of, I think it's Hal Finney, if I'm getting that right, who received the first Bitcoin transaction, and he passed away 8 years ago today. And it just goes to show, I'm sure he was sitting around and he told everybody that he did this Bitcoin transaction, and they were probably looking at him like he's like, they didn't even care, probably. They, literally didn't even care. But yet, I guarantee you, if he was able to hold back a bunch of those coins, that he is, and his family hopefully has a whole lot from that. I'd have to read his bio a little bit more, but it does go to show for people who are willing to give new concepts, new ideas a try and stay on the cutting edge, that sometimes you end up in the right one. And that opportunity still exists every day out here in the crypto space, where new projects launch, even like Skylabs, like we mentioned, which I'm not affiliated with them, not investment, financial advice, but, they have a new concept and they could be on the cutting edge of it. And it could be one that does it. And, the beauty of crypto is those opportunities are out there every day. You really have to do your own research and make sure that you find those great opportunities. But I think today we'll give the spotlight out to Hal Finney on the 8th anniversary of his death, the first Bitcoin recipient.
That would be the pizza, if anybody doesn't realize what that is. That is, I forget how many Bitcoin. he spent.
Let's see.
But he basically bought a pizza with Bitcoin, and it. Now, obviously, we know, like, I think Bitcoin's at 19,000 right now. We can look it up here real quick, and that is, and at that time, I believe Bitcoin was maybe a cent, something like that. Now, I don't even think it was a cent. I think it was less than a cent. And he's, unfortunately, he sold.
No, you know what it actually says here. He says, when Satoshi announced the first release of the software, I grabbed it right away. I think I was the first person besides Satoshi to run Bitcoin. He goes on to say, I mined block 70 something, and I was the recipient of the first Bitcoin transaction when Satoshi sent 10 coins to me as a test. I carried on an email conversation with Satoshi over the next few days, mostly me reporting bugs and him fixing them. So I think the pizza was a little bit further on, but
maybe I'm wrong.
but
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you
there
for
was
the
a guy
correction.
there was another guy who had a bunch of Bitcoin that wanted to pay for a pizza with them, and he found somebody willing to accept that transaction from him. So unfortunately, he died of ALS. If anybody knows Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS, my grandmother, actually, speaking of grandmothers, actually did die from that. True story. And it is a very difficult disease and definitely a great charitable cause for anybody out there who wants to help families out, as it is a gut-wrenchingly long process of watching loved ones deteriorate. And yeah, real sad for him as I'm looking at these pictures right here. So but yeah, hail Finney there. So it's important to know the history and the knowledge of anything that you're doing. So I always advise people to dig into it. It may seem overbearing. It's great. You can just go to CMC, pick the coins, and learn about them one a week, one a day, and you'll end up with a vast amount of knowledge if you do that.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, the top ones that we even go over, you even start off of here, what we go over. Maybe I should start talking about maybe part of the show, what is, ADA and what makes them distinct? Why is BNB an important blockchain? What does Binance bring to? I think that'd be another good section for the show, that we can actually just bring some little education aspect behind it as well. And we might just bring that in. Right?
Yes. Hold on. I'm handling a couple DMs here. And I do apologize. Crypto never sleeps, guys. And it goes on nonstop. I'm messaging some devs. I got Maurice from Caesar's Calls. If you guys follow him at all, messaging him about a couple things, as well as a few other things. But yeah, no, we do look forward to bringing you more and more information, spotlights, educational knowledge, and everything else that we can out here.
Definitely. I'll probably start doing that even more. So I know that you got to get going, but do you have another what do you call a spotlight? Not a spotlight, but AMA today with somebody.
I don't have one scheduled right now. But I know I do have one tomorrow that we're doing with a project called Nifty. They've been out since September of 2021, which in crypto is an eternity, much like Moonrock, who's been out since December of 2021. So yeah, look forward to that. That's going to be tomorrow on the call channel that I'm working with, Dream Calls 100X. And we look forward to bringing some more projects, not only to the Moonrock community within the Dream Calls community that I'm working with as well now, but also trying to get some on this program right here to bring you guys some ability and access to learn about different projects here as well.
Yeah, definitely. But the biggest thing is this is one thing you'll see me do. I'll look at both aspects, right? Here's the negative, here's the positive. That's why we also have Brinks, who works for Better, who's one of the top bettors. He's going to start being part of the show as well, where he'll you guys have seen to be pretty positive here on here, but he gets so in detail, and you know as much, Mike, that he is so, there's a reason why he is one of the top vetters out of, I don't know how many vetters there are. There's probably maybe 300-400 vetters with Vetter right now, and he's in the top, 2%, 1% of that ecosystem. And so he comes in and he really does a great job just ripping them apart. And so I've told him, listen, man, I want you to bring some stuff to the table and talk about that, and bring the negative, bring the positive as well as the negative, because there's that. I think it's important for you guys to know, our viewers, the positive and negative. You guys be able to make a good decision on what you're looking at. So yeah, definitely. And that's one of the things that Bull's going to do. He'll bring in and give you both sides and say, listen, and you can even say, listen, full disclosure, I will be buying into this, right? I'm letting you know. But these are the negative sides behind it that I'm paying attention to, right? So it's important.
Yeah, no, Brinks does an incredible job. Just speaking with him, you can tell how diligent he is in ensuring to get that information. So definitely shout out to him. He does a great job for them. And, as a friend and somebody to know, he's always willing to look into a project for you if you ask him.
Yeah, he's really good on it. All right, guys. I know Bull's got to get going, man. Thank you so much again for coming into the show. And we're gonna probably rename the show here. I don't know what we're gonna call it. If you guys want to throw some, I don't know, some of the names maybe we can go to, crypto related, for the name of the show here, or maybe segment that we want to do here and call it. So throw it our way, and we'll consider and look at it. But I know we kind of do need to name it, right? I know we had your morning. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, yeah, I think we're gonna give this a good name, something we can brand out, and we're gonna get this out on all the platforms and work with some different people to come in here to do interviews and possibly be a part of the show at different times. So hopefully we could turn this into something pretty big that can help any of the listeners out there now get the best information possible to really help them in everything that they're doing.
Really?
But Pedro, I do have to run. I told Pedro, just so everyone knows, I had really till about 10 or 11:30 Eastern time here, but I was able to extend it a little bit. But I do look forward to continuing this, Pedro. It's been great to be on with you.
Awesome.
Listen, I love the chart analysis, and I think it's a great asset to have you both on the Moonrock team. And for anybody who listens here, to know somebody who knows what they're looking at really makes a difference. So, hope you have a great day, Pedro.
You too, brother. We'll talk to you soon. Have a blessed day. All right, guys. So the next section to the show here is I'm going to go over some of the charts here. We're going to look at some of the movements over the weekend and just check out what we may be seeing into the week here. We have some major news, like I said. And the reason why we want to go over the news, again, real quick, of the traditional markets, because traditional markets are now moving our cryptocurrencies. So, are moving, Bitcoin and Ethereum. So those are important to look at, because as the S&P 500 moves, so goes crypto. Or as the NASDAQ moves, so does crypto, right? So it's something to be paying attention to and understanding now. And there's, you can go to, there are a few sites. I like using the economic calendar. I used to, on investing.com. And then I also like looking just for a quick, they do a great job as a quick review or overlook, which is on Market Watch. Just type in economic calendar, Market Watch, and it'll pop right up. So I like to go with that, and that's just a quick review of what potentially coming up that you need to be paying attention to. Economic or investing.com goes over really a deeper look into many different worlds, like China, PMI, or jobless can't claim, or non-farm, right? The reason why China is important to pay attention to, because of the Evergrande situation, right? And because we are all related now. This is all interrelated, and so what's going on in China with the Evergrande real estate debacle, right, is affecting the S&P 500, which then affects who? Crypto, right? So you got to understand how the spider web branches out so that you can see what's coming. And listen, this doesn't happen overnight, but it's just certain things that you can be paying attention to. And then I love to spotlight them for you so you can stand and look and go, oh, okay, boom, there we go. Or, all right, here we come. All right. So those little things. Also, if you don't mind, please like, share, and let people know about our show. I am trying to grow the um, audience here just simply because, just to bring some recognition to Moonrock and a few other places, as well as kind of like what I'm doing. I'm also, if you guys know any people who are in the economy and who's doing what I'm doing, I love to bring them onto the show and just to see what their thoughts are as well, from one trader to another. So let's jump right into this here real quick. So here we go. S&P 500. Now, the S&P 500, like we've said, we had a gap down into the futures last night. It was, I think it was like a 30-point drop here. Let me get it. It was 60 to 20. So yeah, it was about 30-point drop. And then we've kind of been bouncing off this 50 period moving average. I unfortunately was looking at this and my eye just overskipped the 50 period moving average. Like we saw support coming in over here, right? And so this was definitely going to find some type of support here. Now, I want to point this out because it coming down to this point here, we pierced and we definitely saw some weakness. We saw some weakness coming off this 50 period moving average, whereas right here, we didn't, like, we saw a bounce off and then it really came back and we did find support, but unfortunately we did see there's a little weakness here. I mean, just being honest, like this nuance here is weakness. If that moving average really was holding strong like a bull, like it wouldn't have allowed it to move. So it's interesting to see what's going to happen here, right? Are we going to test this and then push back up to where we were at and test the junctional points right here with the crossover right between the 41.97 area? Or is this going to just sit here for the day, put in a doji, and then see another sell off for the week where we come down into this 39.36? Now, remember, guys, I was bringing up when we were up in here, when we were hitting that 200 period moving average at that 34, or excuse me, not 34, 43.51 area, that we hit some major junctional points where with the weekly and monthly SMA sitting here. So these are, it's going to have to retest this, right? Like I think, like I said, I think release coming down to this area here, the 39, 67-ish keyword to the 3900. So this area here, I really do feel like we're coming down here. And then from there, I see us, if this does not hold strong, which we'll see what happens. I don't think it's going to. I mean, it's a decently strong, but I feel like we're going to start seeing. And the reason why is you guys can see here that we did have an increase in volume last week for sellers. So I do see us pushing back down into this area here and even further down into the 3,700 mark, 3,700 to 3,600 area. So be mindful of that, right? Like understand the movements of the market. Again, the market, always remember though, the market's always right. So if it starts to push up and you're a day trader, you want to go long the market if it moves up, and you want to short the market if the market's going down, right? And use your way of trading. We all have different indicators on getting on the smaller time frames and being able to your entry time frame. So just be paying attention to that, right? And always be writing down your trades and always analyzing your trades to make yourself better and better. So yeah, this is what I feel about the S&P 500. Let's jump into the NASDAQ here real quick. The Qs here for the NQ for the markets here. We'll put this here, right here. Now this is the weekly here, as we can see here on the NASDAQ. Definitely came in, hit this 20, and it's definitely finding resistance here on this 20. So we definitely are selling off. We came up into the night session, as you guys can see here, and then find some resistance here. We also have a crossover of that 50 and 89 moving average, whereas up in this area on the S&P 500, we can see that you do have that 8 and also 20 moving average up in this area. So be mindful there to know what's going on. Let's go ahead and point out here as well as real quick for the S&P 500 that this 89 and this 50 here on the S&P 500 is not crossed, right? So we're having some ping pong effects here. Whereas on the NASDAQ, they are crossed, right? And we are above, or excuse me, we are below this area. So be mindful of that, guys, what's going on here, making sure that you can see this, engage it. If this does sell off, the NASDAQ does sell off, which I feel that it's going to, and we'll probably see it sell off into this area here. Give me one second, let me check out the weekly here real quick so we can gauge it on the movement of the week. Into this area here. So let's go ahead and I'll point this out here. At least on a weekly level, I see at least this area here. So at least this 1186, or excuse me, 11860 area to the 1100 and or 11479 area. I know that's a big area, guys, but the reality is it's going to find some type of support in this area here. Let me go ahead and put okay. It's important because if this does start to see a sell-off into this area, this is where we're going to see it come down to. So it's going to be real interesting to see as we start to move forward. So, we'll find out what happens there. But be mindful of, I'm definitely more of a bearish on this week, coming down into these areas. Now let's go ahead and check out that monthly here real quick, because we are coming up to the monthly. This is the end of the month here. I believe it is on Wednesday, which is the end of the month. Yeah, Wednesday's the end of the month, so it's going to be real interesting to see what happens here. Are we going to see major sell-off, and what happens there? We can see here that this 50-period moving average on the month did step up even further into our zone here, which I believe this is a weekly zone. Now, this is a monthly zone here as well, guys. So be mindful that we are definitely, this is definitely, it's going to be an area of at least some type of support in the S&P 500 or in the NASDAQ here. So I can see it's coming down into this area from where we're at, sitting at 12,005 area to, this, this, I could see, shoot, that's, yeah. This is an area that we're definitely going to probably come down to, because we're putting in a seller wick here. So the next month, you guys can see here that this is a slippery slide all the way down to this area here. On top of that, we have that weekly period, 200 period moving average also sitting in this area. So this will be real interesting to see as we continue. Now let's get into Bitcoin now, because I know that's why we're all sitting here looking at the markets. So Bitcoin, I think we definitely are moving in this aspect, right? It's going to kind of correlate with it, right? I was thinking that we were going to finally pull away from it, but it's also having a sell-off here as well that we see in comparison to the S&P 500, right? It's very similar. So it's just something to be paying attention to, right? You can see here we have the sell-off here, and now let's check out Bitcoin. Right, you can see here that we actually have a lower area of sell-off in comparison to the S&P 500, where the S&P 500 is more sitting up in this area in regards to this slippery slide all the way down here. It's sitting more in this area, whereas this, we actually have a lower area of drop. So it's definitely showing more weakness in regards to Bitcoin. I do see us, like I said, we're having I had this little area right here. We did come down to the very bottom of our zone, and it's looking like it's having a little rebound here. So I do see that. So sometimes this will happen, right? You'll put in a zone on a higher time frame. I believe this is the daily. Yeah, this is the daily area here. So we're starting to see it. And a lot of times what they'll do is they'll come down, they'll stop before, they'll rally it up, hit an SMA, and then sell off into it, go down to the bottom, and then so be mindful of this, guys, that it goes right above and then it suckers in the sellers, or excuse me, the buyers, so that the sellers, the institutions, can be able to fill up their short positions. Okay. So make sure, as long as we are following some type of moving average where it's holding, or your EMA or your Bollinger Bands or whatever you use as a trending mechanism, making sure that it stays above it. You can see here, right? We went above it, right? We were following, and then all of a sudden we hit an area, and then they sold off to find support. So as long as we're trending off of some type of support, stay long. If it starts to sell off, a lot of times it will sell off and come back down. And then because they brought in a bunch of the buyers thinking that they're going to continue it up. So be mindful of that on the smaller time frames as your entry time frames. Okay, guys? Let's go ahead and go into the month. The month looks the same, pretty much like I said on Friday. Our daily, like I said here, guys, be mindful here. If we do see it continue, we're probably going to hit this 8 moving average on that daily, and then see a seller wick step in and then continue down. So be mindful of that. Like I said, first stop area will be in the 19.6 area. And then from here, we'll see it come down into this area of 17,000, come back, hit a retracement back into this area. We'll see probably a pullback like this, where it comes down, pull back, and then sell off into this area. So it's going to be real interesting to see. Check out Ethereum. Now, I know they are having some major stuff coming into the Ethereum market. It's actually kind of exciting. You can see here that there are more bulls here sitting with the Ethereum market. You can see on the monthly chart that we do have, though, a big seller wick. So we'll see what happens this week. Are they going to be able to are they going to put a green candle in on Ethereum? That would be crazy, right? Like, I'd be like, what's going on? So yeah, be paying attention to that. I still feel that the area here of 1316 into this 1319, or excuse me, 1357 to this area of 13 or 1200 area here. We have some major spots here. So we have that 50 period moving average sitting on the monthly here as well. The weekly similar. We have that 200 period moving average sitting right here. And on top of that, here we go. Let me go remove this here real quick. As a flip zone, I like leaving stuff in like that, just so that many times flip zones are pretty strong. So it's pretty awesome, real awesome. Oh, we got Josh. What is up, Josh? How you doing, brother?
Hey, hey, hey. How you doing?
I'm doing just going over the market here real quick on Monday recap of the weekend, and then I'm just gonna give it this week's predictions of maybe where I think the market may go. Actually,
Ooh,
I wouldn't call it predictions. I would say more or less just suggestions, maybe where it might go, because for predictions means that I have my all of my
you got your crystal ball out.
yeah, and we all know that that is not how it works in the market. So yes, yeah. So it's good to see you. How was your weekend? I know you had some vacation time. How was your vacation as well?
Oh, vacation was good, my friend. It was good. Felt like I
Nice,
was away from work for a little too long, but it's all right. I'm back now.
nice, nice.
Back at it. Oh,
It's a little rusty.
yeah, a little bit. I haven't really opened the charts, or I mean, I have, but I've only periodically opened everything up and looked around a couple times in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, I don't think I can do that. I mean, I can, but I mean, it just my mind's always thinking about the market. That's interesting.
Well, didn't really have a choice. I didn't have service for the better part of that trip. So,
Got it.
but
I
my
totally
phone
understand.
forced me to not be able to look.
It's actually good. It's actually really good. Did it feel pretty good?
Yeah, it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice.
Yeah,
Little meditation, if you will.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard it was actually. Somebody told me one of the best. Um, excuse me. One of the best things they've ever done is go on these. I think they're called silent retreats.
Yep.
And,
You put your phone up and you leave.
yeah, put your
Mhm.
phone up and you just go. Wait, you're just like, you have no connection to the internet, no connection to social media. And
Yep.
supposedly you just get more grounded. And if you're out in the woods and stuff like that, like you actually walk around barefoot, get these like
What I
fire
did.
ants to bite. Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I was out at a lake in the middle of nowhere, and I went on 3 to 6 mile walks every morning,
Oh,
and just kind of me by myself wandering around. It's pretty nice.
yeah.
Yep.
It's interesting. It's almost what our ancestors did. I mean, you think about the hardships of life that they went through. Like even 100 or 200 years ago, you're like, man, how'd you guys live without AC or refrigeration, right? Like refrigeration was a big deal. People don't realize
Yep.
that. You having your refrigerator, you having your refrigerator is a big deal, a very, very big deal.
Yeah. How did they live without checking on Bitcoin price? I mean, that's just wouldn't have made it.
oh,
Arrows. No, I don't. I'm not worried about arrows. I'm worried about Bitcoin price. You got to tell me Bitcoin price 200 years ago.
oh, that's funny. That's funny. That's good. Yeah, man. I'm glad you had a good time, man. I'm glad you really had a good time.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Now I'm
So,
just recovering from the vid, so if I
oh,
pause and cough, I excuse me.
oh, really? You got it?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's,
That's what my message the other day was about.
yes. Yep, yep.
Yeah. Yep. Got it one day before I was supposed to fly back home.
Oh,
So it's
did
been
they?
quite a rough last couple days.
I could only imagine what it would be like. Yeah, legit. I'm
Just
like,
a little bit of a foggy brain.
hey, man, I have this little thing. I have a little tonic that I use to actually help my brain. And it helps me with inflammation and stuff like that. I'll send it your way. It has like turmeric and nutmeg in it. I throw in I have about 8 or 9 um, seasonings that I use that really help my body, that really help me cut through and get right back to normal when it came to COVID brain. You know,
Hey, send them my way.
definitely, definitely, definitely.
Sounds spicy though, but I'm in.
It is spicy, but it's good. It's good for the brain. It's good.
It's good spicy.
It's good. Puts hair on your chest. It's good.
Oh, good. That's good.
Need some more, right?
That's all I need.
All right, let's go. I'll fit it. So, one of the things I want to bring up here, and this is kind of something that I'm looking at with Ethereum. Last week, right, we had the sell off here, but over this weekend, you can definitely see here that we had this push up here since last night, right, on Ethereum. But there's no seller wick here, so this is it's a little bit. I'm a little hesitant on this move right here because there's no real seller wick stepping in right here. And I would have loved to see something like this where we had a bigger seller wick. So we'll see what happens. We sold through the floor here, and then many times what I'll do is they'll come back, retest the 8 moving average, which this will be a flip zone. So we could go to the 4-hour and look for some type of seller wick, which here's one right here. And then the seller wick would be something that it would bounce off on. We could see it come back around. So I'll make this into an intraday wick here. Yeah, and it's got some good volume there. So that's something to be mindful of here, guys, that as we move up, we have these higher time frame SMA sitting right in this area here. So come up, tap this, and then put in that good seller wick for the week, then to see it continue down into our levels of 11 and 13 area that we've talked about. So, be mindful of that, guys. Be real mindful of that. Okay? Boom. Let's go into BNB. BNB, man. These guys are just they're a tough group of people, man. They Binance is they really are on point here. Sit here and see that the monthly chart did put in that big fat wick here, so we are seeing another sell-off here. If this continues up, I do see this continuing up, at least come back and retest that 8 moving average for the week. And this potentially could pull the market up as well. So, BNB, if it starts to really step in and push, that's going to be really effective. Now, you guys can see here that even on the end of the month, that we don't really have a lot of, we don't have as much buyers. We did have buyers here, and then we came back up. So it's really interesting to see if this is going to finish the red. So, or finish green or red. We'll find out. But it is not looking too promising to sit here and see the seller wick here. So we'll find out what happens. We'll look at that daily chart, coming back, retesting this 8-period moving average on that weekly chart here. So be mindful that again that it just could hit it and then turn around. So be mindful of that, putting in that seller wick and then continuing down to at least the 20 or 260 area to at least the 2. I feel more confident it's going to come down to this 234 area first, but we'll find out what happens here. Let's go to ADA here real quick next. I'm sorry, what were your thoughts on that?
Oh no, I'm just tracking. Following along. I'm trying to catch up on my BNB. I haven't made a mark in BNB in a couple days.
Definitely.
But I'm looking at it on the 4 hour. It's hitting some stuff I like on my Bollinger Bands.
Oh, nice.
But we'll see. I need it to close out at least. I'd have to check again tonight. I needed to close 2 more candles, maybe 3, before I feel comfortable saying exactly. But with where we're going, I'm kind of tracking the other direction.
Moving up or moving down?
Yeah, moving up.
Oh, yeah. That's what I'm saying. So,
I thought you're saying down.
No. So here's the thing, though. So I think the only reason why I said is it could continue. But the fact is that we don't have any major buyer wicks sitting right here.
Right.
Which means that the sellers haven't tried to push it down. So
gotcha.
Which means that buyers, now this all right here, this was the weekend, right? So you don't really see a lot of weekend. Institutions don't trade until, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday morning. So I do see that they're, a lot of times don't want to push the market down. So if they're letting the novices come in and push the market up, who's absorbing those buys? Who's absorbing the buys? Who's taking the seller part of those? Exactly. So if it was sold off first here, I would have had a different view, but we're not. On top of that, we're coming to flip zones in this area here. So, but we also know that the crypto market it's the crypto market. So we could see it push up at least into this area of the 300 mark. But we are coming back into this area, and we'll see what happens. This is an area here of a major sell-off, right? We had a sell-off into this area here, so we'll see if it holds. The thing that I am not and I'm not comfortable with it, is the fact is that we put in a lower low and a lower high, right? So this lower low and this lower high now is just simply them coming in, trying to bring in more sellers to drop the market. So it's something to be paying attention to, right? What's up, Token? It's good to see you, man. Thanks for your comment. I wish I spoke French. Bonjour, Jebison. $30. Bonjour, my friend. Bonjour. Hopefully, am I saying it right? Bonjour?
I think so. Sounds right to me, but I also don't speak anything besides English.
I need to learn a little French just to be able to even communicate. Bonjour, my friend. If you don't mind, like, subscribe. If you don't mind throwing us on some of your social medias, be able to tell your friends about us, that'd be dope. But let's jump back into the markets here. So as we can see here that it is, though, we did put in a lower high and a lower low here for this weekend. So this is for me I kind of a sucker's play. But if we continue, I do see it's coming up to this 301 area because we have that 200 period moving or 100 period moving average on that 4, as well as you can see here that we did hit it over here, right? And then we pretty much it's under the influence. So we had a sell off here where it put in a lower low, but we hit the 400 period moving average coming in where we see this rebound. But I would have loved to see this come and test this and then really see if it's stable. So that's why I'm hesitant to say that we're going to go long. But it could, right? It could get carried away, and they push it up, and all the institutions are doing is just building up their short positions. So we'll see what they do.
We will see.
We shall see.
It's like an exciting game of chess.
It is. It actually, I feel the same way. To me, it feels like that, where it's like you just don't know what they're going to do, right? So let's check out that XR. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you're good.
Check out the XRP here, guys. So XRP is looking very unique, just simply because we're in kind of this no man land, as you guys can see here. And I'm looking at this. Let's check out the right. Like we're in this no man land, but I do see it's coming down into this area here, and we are seeing like we're kind of going sideways here right now. I don't know if they're going to drop it, just like I said last week, though. But I do feel like we're coming down. If the market sells off, meaning the S&P 500, as well as the Nasdaq and Bitcoin, this, no matter how strong it is, it's not going to be able to hold on to the tide as it's dropping. So I do see us coming down into this area, testing this area of the 29, 28 mark on this level here. You can see here that we did come back, sell through the 8-period moving average on the weekly, and then now came back and retest to sell off even more. You can see that we do not have a ton of buyer wicks per se, overwhelming amount of, but we have seller and buyer wicks, but up here we see more seller wicks. So we definitely do see more seller supply zone than demand zone. So it very much could hold and drop the market as we keep moving forward. Here we go. We have that 200 period moving average above us, as well as it looks like we have a daily 100 moving average. Yeah, the 100 period moving average has dropped pretty good here. So that's in this area here. So that is, this isn't, I can see XRP dropping even further. But we are putting in now lower highs and lower lows. Overall, guys, this is in a downtrend. As we can see, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs. We went sideways here, but it wasn't able to get above this high here. So we did see it sell off of that 100 period moving average. Now we're seeing it continue down. So it's real interesting to see what's going on. I see it's coming down to the 29, 28 mark. And then if we do push through this area, I see it coming back, retesting, and coming back down to that 21.17 area. So be mindful of that, guys. Give me 1 second. Apologize for the it disappeared on me. Did you guys hear that bling?
Nope.
Oh, you did
no
not?
Bling. No bling.
Okay, there we go. That's even better. All right. So let's check out the next part right here, as we can sit there and see that XRP here is on the daily. What it's coming back, retesting this area here on that 8 moving average. In addition to you have 100 and you have the 20 period moving average in this area where price was rejected. So I do see this more as a sucker's play to push people into this area here so that they can sell off down into the lower levels for the week. So be mindful of that, my friends. Now let's check out ADA. How you doing, ADA?
Oh, there we go. There's a chart I have some markings on.
There we are. There it is. Boom.
I can find it. Maybe.
So we have the weekly. We have that monthly chart here, looking at that 8 is still holding down price. As we pull forward into the week, though, we can sit there and see that we are sitting on top of these demand zones, and we did have a nice little reaction off of that daily zone here, guys. So be mindful, like I said, that we are in some type of downtrend here, all right? So we're kind of going sideways, but we could easily turn around if the broad market decides it's going to continue down, and be open to that. Because the biggest thing is people won't be open, like they'll be in a position, but they're not open to it turning against them, right? Collect your money. You're not here to play around, right? Like collect it.
Yep.
You can always get back into the trade. Now we can sit here and see that we did sell off here. We are bouncing off our zone here. So this week or this daily period moving average as well is holding down price. We'll see if it's able to push it. I don't think it will, because we did put in a lower low right here on today into the in this evening. So I think what they're doing is low, tap, turn around. So see what happens. Make sure you take your profits on this, guys. Okay, if we decide if it does decide to come turn around, be mindful that it's probably going to continue. So we've tested this area here now a few times. Let's check out Solana. Oh, what are your views on this, my friend?
I'm catching up right now. You're so quick. Not as efficient yet. I'll get there.
You will. Let's jump to Solana then.
Yeah.
All right.
Power through it. I'm here to talk mess.
So we can see here, guys, that we've hit the 200 period moving average. We also have the 8 moving average on the daily, but we have price pretty far down here on Solana. Like, again, I'm still bearish on Solana down into the $18 mark. The reason why, because there's nothing really sitting anything closer, right? Especially when it comes to even to the higher time frames, we're not seeing much there. So it's already been tested, and we'll find out if it's able to continue. If we look at that weekly chart here, again, I told you guys, we've had a lot of tests of this area here on into the weekly, and the next place is that 19 area. So we can sit there. If we do continue, I can see us either hitting the weekly or the daily 8 moving average, and then putting in a seller wick and then continue it down. Right now we're stopping it because of this little buyer wick on the weekly, but here's the thing. What is it? Yeah, we want. Yeah, we'll see what happens. But I do see us hitting this area here of support, now turn resistance, and then turning around, right? Like I said, sell off, come back, wait for the retracement, and then wait for it to turn back around, right? So we'll see what happens. There is no seller wick on the week here, so that's interesting, right? It could, like I said, could come back up and touch this here and to turn it around. So we'll find out what happens. On the daily, we are selling off and bouncing pretty strong off of that 8 moving average. So like I said, this area here could become the resistance to this to turn around. So be mindful of that. Here we go. The next one needs to be Doge. Actually, I just might cut this off a little. Somebody just texted me something. Shoot. And I have to handle that. So I apologize about not going over. I will come back probably later tonight, and go over some of the ones that I did miss, just to make sure I go over all of them.
You got to go over that Dogecoin, man. That's the people's coin.
That's the people's coin.
The
Yes.
people's coin.
Yes, yes, yes. Now, like I said, guys, we did sell off through this 50 period moving average um, on that daily. So a lot of times it will come back and retest that many times to see it sell off even further. Um, so be mindful of that. We did put in this giant fatty weekly wick, guys, that this is a huge seller wick and it's a strong wick. So hey, pay attention. Sellers are stepping in. Make sure you're short or looking at the dollar cost average. I think the area like I brought up on Friday, the 5 cent mark, but I'm more keen on the monthly chart of that 3 cent mark. 3 cent eight or 3.8, 3.6, maybe even the two weights. So but definitely I'm definitely bearish because of just the big seller wick stepping in. Now let's go ahead and go into the weekly. Weekly is looking similar. You guys can see we big seller off. We hit the 20 period moving average, pushed right through that 8 period. Now we are coming back to retest it and to see a turnover even further. This area here has been tested, and I believe it's almost been traded through all the way. So I do see us breaking through this area here on that weekly. As you guys can see here, we are coming back down into it. Now, the only thing that does bring me a little hesitation is simply because we did put in a higher high here based off of this movement here. But in relation to this area right, this drop, we weren't able to even come up into this area of supply. So that means that sellers really kept it down. So if this starts to put in lower highs and lower lows, we're definitely coming down on a daily chart to this 3 area. So be mindful of that, guys. Let's go to the next one, Matic. What are your thoughts on Doge?
Sorry, coughing fit.
That's all right.
Yeah,
Are you
I
at work?
apologize. Yes, I am.
Oh,
No, it's I would like to say that Doge is going to come back up, but I just have very small faith in that. I feel like it's just going to continuously go down, but that's just me. Oh my.
yeah. Well, you are one who's growing and learning and becoming an expert in trading.
Growing.
And
I'll get there. I'll get
yes,
better with my calls.
yes, you will. Yes, you will. As we can see here, and remember, trading is much like parenting, right? You have structures and principles to, rear your child. But if the child goes left or right, you gotta pivot with them, right? And so that's why you have principles, not necessarily um, statutes, right? Or principles, not necessarily hard fastened rules, where you got to be able to pivot if the market is moving up. You're not married to a trade. You're looking to turn around, engage that turnaround point. So and capitalize on it. And you're getting good
That
at
is
that, man.
correct.
You've done pretty good with your win to loss ratio. So respect that. I respect that.
Now I just got to keep it rolling.
Yeah, just slowly but surely. Like you build your account, right? Like 30% this year, 40% this year, then 70 to 80, 100% the next year once you finally got to get your thing, and then it starts to exponentially grow until you're playing with millions, and once you start playing with millions, then it slowly grows, slowly, right? But because you just you almost become a target, so you got to be careful, right? But anyways, let's jump back here. So as you guys can see here, we did come into this area here on the daily, right? But again, we're seeing an extension, right? And we're seeing more sellers than buyers, right? So it's something to be paying attention and mindful of the market. You can see here that we had this huge sell-off on Friday that I was hoping to see it try to push further, but it didn't push further. And then we put the doji in. It's not a good sign. So when you look at that weekly, we're even though we're kind of recapping, we'll find out what happens. But I do think we're going to come and retest on Doge and then turn around into this 5 cent area. So we'll see what happens. Next, we are going to check out Matic. Now,
Heard Matic tapped $1, didn't it?
huh? Yeah.
I said I heard Matic tapped $1 there briefly, but then it came right on back.
Yeah. What was it, like 106 or something like that? Like, Matic was one of those ones that basically hit. I think it was the daily. Yeah, it was the daily 200 period moving average, and it was coming up and touching it. And I said, guys, be mindful. This 200 period moving average, it doesn't play around. Like, you've got to tap it a few times before you're going to see any type of real movement within the market if it's trending. If that 200 period moving average is trending, you're basically going up against Mike Tyson. So, you're not going to just knock him out with one hit. It's a solid market. Is this the daily zone? Yeah, the daily zone. 1 second in the daily zone here. All right, guys, we're looking at the daily area here. All right, so we're coming down into this area here of the 68 mark, guys, for Matic. We did try to pierce the 20 period or the 50 period moving average, trying to get above it, but we also had that 8 period moving average on that weekly. So it did hold it, and we'll see what happens. We might continue touching to see if we can test it for this week, but I'm very bearish on us not touching that and seeing it really just continuing down if the market does see a sell-off. So be mindful that, continuing the short down to this 68 to 67 mark area. We do have the period moving averages, daily period moving average at the 70 as well for support. So it might look something like this at this level as well, seeing it kind of go sideways and come back, retest, and sell off again. So we'll see what happens here. That's something that I would be looking towards. Let's check out Shibbity Shib. Oh, I'm sorry. Josh, what were your thoughts on it? On Matic?
I'm not currently in front of the charts anymore. However, I do have a couple marks that it looks like we're very close on. If it cuts through those, I think it's going to come crashing down a little bit harder than everybody wants it to. Only because we had such a huge buy-in and it climbed so quickly compared to the rest of the market that I think that if we crash through those resistance levels, it's going to come down a lot harder than anything else in the market right now.
I agree. Actually, I agree with that 100%. We will find out what it does, what it wants to do. Yeah, we'll see. I think I do see us coming back and testing this our weekly zone right here for SHIB. So actually, let's jump into SHIB here real quick. SHIB has a fat wick again. It's just looking very weak to me on the monthly chart. I know there's so many fundamental stuff that's happening with SHIB, but the chart is screaming to me that it wants to drop. So this is where if the market is going down, you need to be looking to short over going long, right? It tells you different. So let's look at that weekly chart here. We are ping-ponging off of the weekly period 20 as well as the 8 moving average. We are coming back and retesting that 8. So we all understand that when it tests the 8, most likely the next day we'll see it sell off in this area here. So here's the first retest. 1, 2. Next one, we'll see 3 candle drop from here. If we do see today continue up, be paying attention to that 20 period moving average because it did hold back the last previous weeks here. All right, guys. So let's look at the daily, similar chart here as well. So yeah, Booyah! Just making sure. Sorry, I just went into like break mode. Yeah, just look at that 50 period moving average. See how we're testing it and we're kind of selling off. See how the previous day on Sunday, we did sell off of that. We bounced a little, but we sold in between that. So you can see we're having some ping pong sections here. So be mindful of SHIB in this area, guys. We should see something at this 12 mark area here. Maybe coming back and retesting up to that 8, right? And then seeing a continuation down into the 9 as well as the 6 area. So that's it in a nutshell. Let's check out Tron TRX. TRX, as you can see here, we did come up into our junctional points here, and we had a nice little sell-off, guys. We did encompass last month's green candle, but not with a lot of volume. So again, that's always a little precarious to see. So we'll have to gauge which way it might continue down. I do believe it will probably continue down, and trying to find buyers and support here on that monthly chart. Let's check out that weekly chart here. So the weekly chart looks really unique, just primarily because, give me 1 second here. The daily or the weekly chart looks unique here, just simply because we're kind of sitting at this level here from yesterday. I thought that we were going to have a little bit of a sell-off, a deeper sell-off down into this area here of the 5-7. So we'll see what happens. Either way, it's still not strong. I mean, I'll put it like that. So it's not really causing higher highs and higher lows. It's definitely putting in lower highs and lower lows here now. So we'll see what happens. It might continue down into the 4-cent mark area. That daily chart. See that it is definitely following that 8 moving average. We're putting in some buyer wicks here, so but there's not a ton of volume coming in because these were put in on the weekend. So I do see, because of the volume of the increase of sellers, that this most likely will turn around into this area and see it at least come down to this 43 or 0.403 area to the 0.02 area.
You don't have any resistance in the 50 range? Man, that's a serious drop if it drops.
Right. So you do have this big seller wick here. Problem is, you have a bunch of areas that it tested. So if you go back and you look at this area has been traded through now a few times. So the next support area here is really down into this area of 4 cent.
Whew.
Yeah, because there is nothing sitting here. There's nothing really sitting here. And this is basically a reaction of stuff back here. Reaction off of this. Reaction off of this. Reaction off of this. You can see if this was a real strong area here or here, this would have held. But it was looking, it had to come all the way down to this area here to find buyers. So it should, and if it was strong buyers, it should have put in some higher highs here. Right? Like we should have got it. We should have seen at least get to the weekly, but we didn't. So now I'm more bearish on Tron to see at least coming down to find support in the early 50s, late 40s area here, right? That 0.50. I mean, I'm more like 0.49 area. So
there you go. Just got to catch that. Got to catch that short right there.
Yeah, yeah, and you'll see it.
A good little short to grab.
Yeah, you'll be able to see here come in. I mean, you'll go to the short time frames. You'll find it trending off of some 8 moving average or some EMA that you use as a trending bounce off, right? Where you can find
Mhm.
a 4-hour, 2-hour zone that you can play off to make sure that you have some type of resistance
Yep.
where you can play off of. So, yes, sir. You can see here that we don't see any real look. I mean, we don't see any sellers here or any buyers here. Look, I mean, you just see it pushing up, right? Which indicates to me that here, look, there's really small little. You see it that it pushes through. Then you see here there's no real buyer wick, so then we see it push through. Well, what do we see here? Right, like same similar thing, and then it drops through and creates a lower low right here. It's pushing up, but are there any wicks here? No. And the other part behind it as well is it's not a it's even though there's a volume sitting in these areas, I'm not seeing it. I want to see it come down and support this area and then push up, right? I want to see a lack of conviction from the sellers and a conviction for the buyers. So that's what I'm looking for. Let's check out the next one. Next one is going to be AVAX. What are your thoughts on Tron?
I'm kind of following you on that one.
Okay.
We'll see. I was hoping if from my phone, of course, can't really see all too well, but I figured there'd be a little bit more right there in the middle, somewhere a little bit closer to that. But man, when it falls, it looks like it's gonna fall a pretty solid way down. However, if you can catch that as a short,
Yeah.
you can make some decent money on it. But like you
Yes,
said,
sir.
you got to find the indicators. And
Well,
that's not what we're here for people to do.
yeah, I mean, every person there is going to find their own trading view. If you guys want to learn from somebody trading, I learned from Chris Koopman, or he is on Twitter as Easy Money 2050. I've had him on the show here a few times. He's a great teacher. I recommend anybody who really wants to learn how to trade to go to him. Like he's got a whole entire system and a whole entire thing set up. I mean, I might start teaching stuff here down the road, right? Where, but as of right now, I'm not into it. Friends of mine are different, but we'll see what happens. But let's jump right back into these charts here. So yeah, for me, let's check out AVAX. AVAX is really showing some strong bearishness. We have a huge seller wicks. We saw that. This is what I'm talking. The bulls pushed it up, but then got overtaken by the 50, or excuse me, not the 50, but the 20 period moving average sitting here on the weekly. That's what this is sitting right here, right? So I hit this, okay? Then from there, we saw it start to sell off. So to me, because it did push up and they were trying to push it, and then we saw a sell off, that's what I mean by a lack of conviction by the bears to push a market up versus it selling off into an area where there might be real support. So we do have some support sitting right here. We can go in here and look at it, right? We saw it come down over the week, right? Over last week, we saw some movement into it, come up a little. I believe I warned you guys to be careful here because we did push up, but that 8-period moving average was strong. So we did see it sell off into this area here. We put in a doji here, which basically acts as a way for almost like a launching ground to drop or to push up. So when I'm sitting there and I'm looking at this, it means indecision. They don't know which way they want to go on the daily, which is a strong indicator of, hey, it's most likely not going to continue up, right? Because we have a big, I think this is called a gravestone. Forgive me if I don't know the full details, but I believe it's called a gravestone. And so with this
What do you
idea,
mean you don't know every single term?
oh,
There's thousands of them. You don't know them all? Yeah. Andrew, you're supposed to be the best. You're supposed to know all thousands of these nicknames that random people give them.
Yeah, nope, that's definitely not me.
We'll call it a gravestone. I'll accept it.
I don't even know what it
I'll
is. Oh,
notify
and
everybody. That's a new name.
send it on to the ether. We'll see what happens.
Yep.
Like, boom! If you guys, we'll send the minions out there, and they'll have them. They'll have it changed on the internet.
Yep, we'll make an
it
adjustment.
is. So this is another thing for me. So I'm looking at this daily. We did see some wick movement here, but our real indication on AVAX on that daily is that it's going to need to pass and find support on that 8-period moving average. We've tried it a few times. You guys can see it did come in right here. We saw a rally, but then it pushes right through, and we put in a lower high off of this, right? Or excuse me, a lower high and then a lower low sitting right here. So we're in our area of support here now. So we'll see what happens. This is a daily zone. I guess this is a weekly zone then. Yeah, so this is a weekly zone sitting right here. So it is finding some support, but will it continue? We will find out. I don't think it's going to, just simply because we've had some pretty good sellers stepping in from the last few months, so, or last few weeks. So we'll find out what happens here. Yeah, we'll see what happens. That's something I can imagine. I think we're going to probably come down to the lows. I think when it comes to here, it just like, I forget what it was. Maybe I think it was Dogecoin. But I was saying they'll push it up and then they'll continue it up to a certain point and then they'll turn it around. So if it does push up of our area here of support, be mindful that it comes up into the 8-period moving average and seeing it turn around, right? Because I can see that happening there. After that, continuing down into this $11 mark and into the $10 mark as well. All right, guys, so cut in half here. Again, well, we've talked about Bitcoin being at the 20,000 mark, coming down to the 10 and 12,000 mark, right? So you can see how it all is correlating with the markets, how our setup is all, it's kind of one and the same. So, you know, if this does go as far as, Bitcoin and coming down to here, this is that next leg down, which will be, again, this area here. So I think there are going to be some real buyers sitting in this area here, as well as that 6-cent mark. I think these areas here, there are buyers salivating, waiting for it to come down into this area here. So,
I feel like we are both those buyers. Just waiting, like, come on down to $5. Come on, man. Just come tap $5 real quick. Let me just see you do it.
Don't you want to go to your home?
Don't you want to come down here?
Tap, tap, tap a room,
Yep, and then boom, fill in my bags.
And I think also we do see some institutional stepping in and getting price at that levels too. So we'll find out what happens though. But like I said, from a daily standpoint, we are at an area of support. These here real quick and put in a this is also weekly. Yeah, perfect. That's nice. Okay. Hey guys, go. So this is you can see here that we're sitting here at these levels here on the weekly.
Nice little friendly reminder. I do have to go back to work in about 10 minutes.
Oh, okay, I got it. Well, I'm about to be finished up here too. It's 1 o'clock, and so I'll come back later tonight, guys. Finish up the last little bit. I think I got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got about 10 left, so I'll come back and we'll go over some new stuff here again of the day and kind of get a recap of the day as well. I want to start doing this more and just kind of play around with it and just bring in more people. I really like what I'm doing, and I had a person who reached out to me. It's like, listen, I really like your stuff. I go back and I look at it. Thank you for doing what you're doing. And it made me feel good because the individual was long a position, and he was day trading it, and then he hit me up and said, hey, thank you. I actually saw your video and I got out, and then I would have lost money And I said, oh, I'm glad. So that actually made me feel really good to make me think like, oh, wow, I am helping people. So I was happy about that. So yeah, I'm thinking about
Always a good feeling.
Yeah, it really was. It was really interesting how it made me feel. So, thank you. It makes you want to keep doing what you're doing now. So, you can see here, like again, I brought this up, guys. Just be mindful. Look on the on AVAX that we could see it push up right here, but the reality is that we do have some. You know, we have a lot. We have a lot of resistance here. A lot of resistance that is. Um, you know, that it wants to push down, and then we have that 50 period movement. So I doubted that we do see it come back up to the 23, but if it does, be mindful to look to short here. I honestly think if we do come up, we're coming back up to this daily A and then dropping it off down to this area here again. So we'll see what happens though. Next, and let me know if you got a jam out here. Just let me know, Josh, as well.
Yes, sir.
Boom, boom. And so this was AVAX. Let's check out Leo here. Now, Leo is really unique. Like, I've brought you guys, like, this is, like, it's literally almost, like, defying the market. I just don't understand it. Whatever they're doing something right. So, I need to reach out. If anybody knows any devs within Leo, I would love to bring them on the show and just talk to them about whether it's marketing or whether it's how they're running their stuff. It'd be awesome. I'd love to hear just their thoughts. Um, Next, though, let's go ahead and jump back down to here. This area, we saw it bounce right off of our area here of support and also that 50 period moving average on the weekly. So this is a nice little area that we saw it come down into and now push back up. Be mindful, there is that 20 period moving average on the weekly here. So it is starting to stick here. And then you do have that eight moving average sitting here on the weekly as well. So we're starting to see some ping pong action here. So a lot of times we'll see a ping pong, and then if it is going to, I am hesitant of it continuing up on the weekly because if you notice, we have a lot of seller wicks sitting here. So the next area of support is either this area here or really that 50 period moving average. So this is really my next spot here on Leo, guys, when you're looking at things, okay? Be mindful of that. If you are long here, we are putting in more seller wicks than we are putting in buyer wicks. So pay attention to that.
Not a lot of volume either.
And not a lot of volume as well. Exactly. Thank you for pointing that out. Not a lot of volume. So, yeah, we can definitely see another sell-off here, guys. But again, if you look at them in comparison to the broad market, they are one of the darlings of the market, which definitely people like them a lot. So, or they just simply people aren't selling. You know, like people are not selling.
Buying and hold.
Buying and hold. What do we call that? Hodling, right?
Hodling. Yep.
Hodling.
Hodling.
We are all hodling. So you can see here, guys, we're going into a sideways market here. I do see us definitely selling off into this area here. If there's no seller or there are no buyer wicks in this area here. So it's going to at least come back and test this area of 50 to this area of 470 to the 441 area. Be mindful of this area, guys. All right. And you can see here, even on the daily, we're putting the seller wick here. Let's go into the Uniswap. What time you got to head out of here, my friend?
I was just about to say, before you hop into that, I'm going to go ahead and step off here. I got to run inside. And my first day back, so I can't be too late.
No worries, man. Thanks for coming in. We'll talk to you soon, bud.
Absolutely. Y'all have a good one.
You guys do. Boom. Take it easy, brother. All right, so the next one here, guys, as we can see, is Uniswap. So Uniswap here, which I think these guys are probably one of them. I think they're very undervalued. I think they have so much stuff going on. The fact is that they have, from a fundamental standpoint, they're the primary people that allows you to be able to buy and sell through to get into Ethereum, right? So they are making a lot of money based off of transactional fees and making cash. That is, I think that's one of the most important things to look at, right? So from a business standpoint, they're making money like every day, all day long, right? Like that's just them. So their coin, I think in the next bear or in the next bull market, it probably is going to push back up to at least, like I said, at least their $40 mark here, right? So you could really honestly get in at a really great price in this area. But when we do look at from a point, we are bouncing off that 8-period moving average, and whereas a lot of the other coins, we do see that they're down in the lower level of the previous month, right? Whereas this is more in this area here. So, we can definitely see this sell off a little bit further. We'll find out. There are support levels here. We did see it come down into there, bounce off a little, but we saw push right through our zone here, and now finding some support up in this area here. We do have that 8-period moving average sitting, or excuse me, not 8, but that 20-period moving average sitting right here. And then the 8-period moving average right above sitting, that it did find some resistance in this area here. So, I can see us maybe probably hitting this and then continuing down for the next day, where this is more of like it's stopping for a second and then it's turning around and go, because the conviction here isn't really that strong, and we're at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock for the previous for the next day. So, and this was, or not next day, excuse me, next week. So I do see this maybe even turning around here, first go up then come down. So down into these areas here that we've talked about. All right, so next let's jump right into the daily here, guys. You can see here retracing right back into the major SMAs on the daily, as well as that trending 8 and a retracement back into the other moving averages. So I do see us moving in a way that, well, let's check it out. Yeah, I can see us retracing this quickly. There's no buyer or seller wicks, guys. You can sit here and see that. It's right here. It's in the chart. So until we get down into these lower levels here at that $5.72.70 mark area. Yeah. So yeah, that's it. Let's go ahead and pull it up. Yeah, the next spot, guys, is really this down this 570 area, which is here at least coming back down. You can easily come back down into these areas here. But even this is yeah, it's just weak. It's just weak here. All right, so as you can see this here. Next one, let's check out Litecoin. I got one more minute, then I got to bounce out of here. But I'll be back on to finish off what we were doing. Here we go. Litecoin. Oh, and I do want to check out the dollar. Shoot, I forgot. Somebody said look at the dollar. So let me check out the dollar here real quick as well. So let's check out Litecoin. So Litecoin is looking a little bit different, as we can see. It is looking stronger than Bitcoin, which is really interesting because Lightning Network was built off of Bitcoin network. So it is showing strength in comparison to Bitcoin. We had a pretty strong pull from here. So this area here, we are on the daily that we're coming up to retest these areas here. We'll see what happens. We'll find. I'm looking at this though. We do have a couple flip zones here. So we have a big seller wick here. It's coming up first thing in the morning, and honestly, it looks like it's probably going to turn back around and come down into the 48, 47 area mark on Litecoin here, guys. Be mindful of that. That's it. Yeah, that's pretty much it for Litecoin. And then I want to check out the dollar because I was going to bring that up here earlier. I just forgot. So the dollar here is incredibly strong. Incredibly strong. This makes things very difficult for people to do business around the world. Simply because it's harder to do business with America. That's really what it is. So this is going to make things less scarce. It's going to make things scarce monetary wise for the rest of the world. And a lot of the world, like we talked about earlier, uses crypto to bring in money. So this is an indication that we might see again another downturn in the markets within crypto because of the relationship with the dollar and S&P 500 / Bitcoin. So just something to be mindful and considering. Yeah, it's been pretty crazy to see this push up the way it's been pushing up. Really crazy. So let's go ahead next. Actually, guys, I'm gonna get out of here. I will be back on later tonight in regards to the markets, and we will go over some stuff. All right, many blessings, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.